This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
You're going to get some, we're going to get some discussion on that. So I want to clarify. You're not saying that comedy doesn't have place on a wrestling show.
No,
but it's not necessarily the marquee attraction that is a needle mover, that is a ticket seller. So you got to have a marquee matchup that fans really care about, an emotionally invested issue between two badass athletes on top. But below that, yeah, you need to have a let me up match. It's okay to have a funny little skit here or there, but the whole show can't be a variety hour, right?
Yes, absolutely. Well said. It's like a variety show, and in a sense, but I don't believe that that's your ticket. Your ticket getting in the door is not comedy, and I think too many guys rely on that because their fundamental storytelling skills and their wrestling skills are still evolving, and they don't have the confidence in that part of their game. But they know if they do something stupid, leap over the top rope, catch their toe on the top rope, take a big bump, that'll get a laugh. And I don't think people go home and said, you know what, man, I want to go back because I want to watch that guy follow the top rope again. That was just funnier than shit.
Right.
So you're right. Does it have a place? Absolutely. When it's used in a timely, opportune fashion, but it can't be the primary storyline driver of the comedy. Especially heels that are trying to be, two things that burn my ass: heels that try to be cool.
Yep.
And wrestlers that go out of their way to try to be funny. It just doesn't fit. That's the way I look at it. And I'm not an old school. He's passing by. JR's old. He forgets names. He doesn't even know what show he's on. I hope he has another stroke. Thank you very much out there. But no, I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I think the comedy has got its place,
right?
But it shouldn't be your entree. Comedy is not the entree of a pro wrestling match. It's an appetizer. It's a dessert. It's a accoutrement, but it's not the entree. At least in my world. But if you like it, you're listening to us now, watching us now, Connie. I'm not mad at you because you do like comedy.
Right.
I'm not that guy that just, well, you didn't agree with me, so obviously you're wrong.
Right.
God damn it. But I'm Conrad Thompson, 100 fucking podcasts, son of a bitch. So I'm not going to get on your ass for that because that's not how I feel.
I mean, I think you and I are on the same page. I love, and I know we don't usually talk about the current stuff a lot, but I love the presentation of a lot of the comedy that we've seen in wrestling, but typically it's not the main event at WrestleMania, and understanding the difference is, I mean, there's nuance to these conversations, so anyway, I'll
give you an example too. One real quick one before we move on. It's like a week or so ago, the little bit that Orange Cassidy and Sting had on the outside of the ring was nothing but pure entertainment and comedy.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Mm-hmm.
It had a place. It fit there. It didn't take away from the match, in my opinion. So comedy used at the right time with the right people that doesn't seem forced, canned, fake, contrived, whatever you want to say, can work very well. And that particular little skit that those two guys did, for me, worked. And I'm an old school guy that likes the blood and guts and the fighting and the physicality and all those things. But these guys were excellent. So it will work in the right environment. So I'm not anti-comedy. I just know that the comedy cannot make up the thrust of your match. It's a great, like I said, I think I said earlier, it's not the entree. It's not the steak.
Yeah.
But it's a real good appetizer. It's a great bowl of French onion soup before you eat your steak. Or it could be looked at as a little creme brulee.
I get it. It's a wrestling podcast, but he's saving us money on our mortgage. Do you really trust this process? The reviews don't lie. 5-star review after 5-star review. We make it fast, we make it easy, and it's no cost or obligation. Give us a shot to earn your business. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did, especially if you like keeping more of your own money. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket, so what are you waiting for? Hurry to savewithconrad.com. Robert Gordon says, "Hi Jim, could you explain the differences in calling matches early in your career and now for AEW? I know the athletics are off the charts, but what other changes have you made, if any?" I don't think necessarily the AEW piece of the question is as relevant. Obviously, the presentation of wrestling has changed across the board. You go back to when you first started working with the Cowboy as a broadcaster, and now, now we're pushing people to apps and we're pushing people to online stores. We're not exactly saying, don't forget, we're going to be down in your area so-and-so next Thursday, whatever, get your tickets today, blah, blah, blah. So the whole presentation of a broadcaster has changed. What do you think the biggest differences are, Jim?
It's probably now more oriented to storytelling and not calling hold by hold.
Right.
When I worked for Cowboy, he wanted a sports-like presentation. And that meant doing more documentation of hole by hole stuff, and then tying it all together, connecting the dots of those holes and what they meant into the big picture, or how they would contribute to the outcome of the match. Nowadays, you sprinkle that in and you focus more on the storytelling. And I think that's probably the primary difference. For me, I don't change a lot. It's what I've done has worked. I think people like to have stories told. So, but that's probably the biggest issue. Less play-by-play, meaning I'm naming you the holes and here's how they work and blah, 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 versus storytelling in general. What this hole means to the match, what this rivalry consists of, why are these men wrestling or these women wrestling, et cetera, et cetera. So it's changed some of the little nuances, but the foundation is telling stories featuring two rivals that have a clearly defined reason for wrestling has not. And if we start screwing with that, then we're going to lose people. People want to, you can't detach verbally what people are seeing visually. You got to tie things back together. And so in other words, if I'm going down one road, Conrad, and the match is going down another, we have a problem. It's just that when we get back on the same road, we might not address every headlock. Excalibur does a great job of identifying the tope suicidas of the world and some of the things that, that used to be a tope. The torpedo dive through. It's been around forever. I remember sitting at ringside one time with Al Snow, and he was going to use that in a match. And he told me, and he explained what a tope was, because it was a Mexican wrestling presentation. Mexican, right. And so if you didn't have access to AAA or whatever, you didn't know. Then occasionally, more Latinos started filtering in, and they would use what they knew. And so then we had to figure out what those things are. But stories have the basic foundation of doing wrestling commentary has not changed, except it's more storyline, storytelling driven than it was in previous years.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you're going to notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at savewithconrad.com.